This is the European edition of Breaking Banks, the world's #1 fintech podcast and radio show. We bring you the European unicorns, startups, founders, regulators, and leaders innovating the rapidly evolving fintech scene today. A truly localized podcast with both English and local language content, with some of the world's most well-known hosts and influencers in the fintech sector globally. Join us every week as we explore what makes the European Union a phenomenal proving ground for many of the fastest growing fintech players in the world today. Okay, let's roll.
Paula,
Hi.
it is just so wonderful to see you again after a few years, but we always connected.
Absolutely.
And I know for me, in my mind, you're always Mrs. Hong Kong. And I always thought, sort of civil servants, you always run an extra mile. So we're delighted to have you here this week.
Thank you.
And first of all, tell me, how has the week been for you, running around in Holland again?
The week has been good. What I found is having events at the locations of the members, of the partners, it gives it that extra personal touch. It's a bit of figuring out how to get to each location, but I thought that was actually a nice way to organize it.
Yeah, and I actually think it's also a sign of trust, because if you host people in your own house, you show just that little bit more.
Totally.
Which brings me immediately on to the Hong Kong Fintech Week, because that is drawing people into Hong Kong and you're welcoming us over there. So before we dive into the do's and what's, gives me a little bit of background. What can people expect if they go to Hong Kong Fintech Week?
I think Hong Kong Fintech Week, for the first time after COVID, fully live again. So we hope to host around 35,000 people for that week. There are 5 tracks. One of the main features is the global fast track competition. So we will have the finals, and the global fast track, apart from a competition, is also a major business matching between fintechs and corporates. So I hope everybody will come for that.
Yes, absolutely. And then tell me a little bit more, because there's also Singapore Fintech Week, there's Hong Kong Fintech Week. Why would Hong Kong be the preferred destination if I'm a fintech? I mean, obviously, if you want to be a global player and you're a fintech, you have to look at Asia, because that's where the innovation happens.
True.
Particularly in payments, we know that.
True.
You know.
I think what we see very much, we see Hong Kong and Singapore as complementary, right? From Singapore, you serve Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and the Philippines, so 600 million. From Hong Kong, companies serve consumers and businesses in mainland China, Korea, and Japan. So I think these are really 2 complementary cities. They tend to be in the number 3 and 4 spots of international financial centers. And a testament to the good cooperation is that the FinTech Weeks are organized just the one after the other.
Yeah, so you could actually do both.
You could do both.
Yeah.
I would advise everybody who's in the process of thinking about Asia, visit both places.
Yeah.
Talk with companies and form your own opinion.
Yeah.
Really complementary.
Yeah, absolutely. And give me a few examples, because I know, having been to Hong Kong, that some great companies are founded there. But for the people from Holland who are particularly interested in fintech, can you give me an example of a success story?
If we see, there are a couple of, there are 3 fintech unicorns. One being Air Wallets, and the other one being ZA.
Also based here.
Fantastic,
yeah, I love them. Very
There's
good company.
ZA International. There is also with an office in Hong Kong is IBM.
Yeah.
So I think many companies are there. We have helped with our team Fizai, a big anti-fraud company from Portugal originally. So I would say a lot of if you're a fintech and you want to conquer Asia, you're going to be in Hong Kong and in Singapore.
So the elephant in the room.
Yes.
We're friends, so I can talk to you about it. But literally, I mean, if I was a fintech and I had little money to spend, and you would say, come to Hong Kong, immediately, just because of the media, I would think, yeah, but what if I then build something and it's connected to China and I come back and everybody's against me? I mean, how would you point this?
I would say so far, financial services is the bedrock of the Hong Kong economy. 22% of GDP. At the same time, also, Hong Kong plays a very, very important role for Beijing. Hong Kong is where mainland Chinese company learn international business 1.0.
Yeah.
So it's seen as a conduit to go for SME, SOEs, state-owned enterprises to go international. And for Beijing, it's of vital importance to have two currencies, right? They have the renminbi, fully controlled, the Hong Kong dollar, free floating and pegged to the US dollar. I think Hong Kong still has a very privileged position to help where fintechs can not only serve the vast financial services sector in Hong Kong, they can also step into the mainland Chinese market. So I think still very much worth your while.
Yeah. And then, of course, for me, you are Mrs. Hong Kong, so if there would be anything Hong Kong, I just phone you up. But tell me a little bit more about the organization you work for and what you can do for people.
What we can do, I think, is make it easy. If you have an Asia plan and Hong Kong is either the location you have chosen or one of the contenders, we can explain to you how to set up a company. Are there any licenses you need? And if you need to be in touch with the regulator, we can put you in touch. We can set up that appointment, whether it's the Hong Kong Monetary Authority or the SFC, the Securities and Futures Committee. We can make those appointments. We can help you with all the practicalities of where do I find a good corporate service provider. We can make business contacts. We can help you with some PR. So we can help you with the work visa application. So I think you as an entrepreneur have a plan, and we can A, tell you how to make it work in Hong Kong, and B, set all the wheels in motion.
Okay.
And all that for free. We're
government. That's amazing, because you're part of the government.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit how you fit in the system so people understand. You're part of the European Union in some degree?
No, we are actually part of the Hong Kong Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So there are 34 offices overseas, where 17 of our teams actually share an office with the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office. And 17 teams are consultants, meaning they also have other clients. But with the 34 teams together, we cover the world. And in our head office, we have sector teams that dive deep into the specific sector.
Specific sectors. And so you're our ambassador into Hong Kong, basically,
Absolutely.
for trade.
We are, you can call us that. We make it happen.
I know that. You're 24/7. Then just going slightly back to what you saw this week before we sign off and we turn it into a promotion. What sort of caught your eye this week? What did you see in terms of companies or ambience that you thought, yeah, I would love to take that back?
I saw that what I had heard, but really the point was presented once more, how important the cybersecurity companies are in the Netherlands. Quite impressive, with The Hague playing a key role.
Yeah.
Well, Amsterdam still the biggest center for fintechs with a lot of payment solutions, and obviously the big ones like Molly and ADN, but also a lot of other players. And I see a very vibrant fintech ecosystem with also the suggestion from the Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency to maybe do something about Netherlands Hong Kong FinTech Bridge, which would be, I think, an excellent idea.
I think it'd be a good idea. And then finally, we talked a lot about funding as well, because funding has become tougher. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Are there also funding opportunities for companies? Like if I have an Asia plan and I go to Hong Kong and I go to Hong Kong Week, and very often it's easier to have a local funding partner for your local outreach. Are these opportunities that you can help with as well?
There are a lot of funding opportunities, but you know, Connie, how it is. There's money, but how do I get in touch with the money?
Well, exactly. Yeah.
We see a lot of. I always suggest to companies, if you see anything that looks like a competition, take part,
Yeah.
because you'll invariably catch the eye of investors, right?
Yeah.
Another very successful formula is to enter into an acceleration program.
Yeah.
Because whoever is the organizer of the accelerator, can be Accenture, can be the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park, can be one of the major banks. They will want to show their alumni are great countries.
On stage.
They want them on stage, and they want to show them to investors.
Yeah.
So I think the money is there, and I really invite companies to consider the Global Fast Track program. Sign up. You'll be on the radar of the corporate partners, and consider Hong Kong Fintech Week, because you get a chance to talk to investors.
Yeah. You're taking the words out of my mouth, but I wanted you to finish off with sort of encourage to grow the scale companies to sort of join your virtual contest. And then, what is the website address?
I'm sorry?
What is the website address?
The website address is Fintech Hong Kong, and then if you go to Fintech Hong Kong, you'll easily find the Global Fast Track. You click through, and
you'll get there.
A cup of tea or a beer, and half an hour, and you have signed up.
Thank you so much, and I hope to hear and read from you on how Hong Kong Fintech Week is going, and Peter myself.
Thank you.
Take care.
Pleasure.
Thank you for joining me here.
Thank you for having me.
We're really happy to have been able to collaborate with you with NCC during Amsterdam Fintech Week.
Likewise.
So I'd love to learn a bit more about what you thought, but we'll go to that later.
Yep.
Maybe first, maybe for people that don't know you and NCC Group as well, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Don. My name is Paolo. I am the Senior Account Manager at NCC Group. Personally, I'm located in Amsterdam. We have an office. And at NCC Group, we are a software escrow organization. And now here you think, well, you know, what does it exactly mean? What is software escrow? And normally I like to explain it with an example. So within NCC Group, we have two divisions, right? We have a software escrow division and we have a cyber division. And I'm sitting here and representing our software escrow division. And within that division, we basically help organizations, predominantly financial institutions, also other sectors, but we're focusing more on financial institutions regarding safekeeping the business continuity for mission critical applications that's being supplied by third parties. So to give you an example how that really works in practice and in real life, so let's just say you have a tier 1 bank who makes use of a critical cloud banking platform.
Yeah.
And they have outsourced the development and the hosting of the system in the cloud, and there is a third-party supplier who makes the maintenance, who do all the updating, and make sure that everything runs smooth sailing. Now you have to ask yourself as a tier 1 bank, but what happens if something happens with my software supplier? What if the scale-up, for example, doesn't get their Series B or Series C funding? What if they go insolvent? What does it mean for our business continuity? Can we still access our data? Can we still access our application? Are we then able to keep our internal stakeholders and external stakeholders happy? Because it's a critical solution. So all those questions arises once you outsource the services to a third party. And that's exactly where NCC Group services come in. We make sure that we provide the bank with the assurance that should something happen with the software supplier, a third-party software supplier that is, that they have all the correct software materials, such as the source code, maybe the cloud environment, the data, but that they also have the knowledge required in order to access the application, to maintain the application in the event that the supplier is no longer around.
And does that go as far as, let's say, version management as well of different sets of software? Because, for example, would the current version be corrupted one way or the other, that you could somehow revert back to an older version? Or and do you have kind of protocols to actually sort of look at the whole process end to end to safeguard indeed, that you can sort of deploy that software in any kind of situation?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in terms of version management, indeed, we have our own proprietary technology whereby we manage the version of the software that we've received from the software supplier, and also to advise the end client, being the financial bank or financial institution in this particular case, to say, hey, be aware, dear financial bank, financial institution, the escrow deposit is now out of date, for example, 3 months. Let's just make sure that we reach out to the software supplier and to receive an updated version for that. But likewise, also not only beneficial NCC services for financial institutions such as bank, for example, but also for fintech organizations such as startups and scale-ups. Because more often than not, when you're a startup or when you're a scale-up, you want to attract, those big tier, 1 or tier 2 banks because they look good on your resume, they look good on your portfolio. But because you are a fintech organization, because you're a startup or scale-up, you're inherently risky, right? Because you've been on the market for only 3 years, or only 5 years, maybe you have only 20 or 30 people working on the payroll. So the big bank will go, okay, dear, potential provider, we want to select you, but we are worried about your business continuity, your ability to keep servicing us. What happens if you're no longer around? So in this particular case, we then work together with the fintech, with the startup or the scale-up. We work towards a solution that they can provide to their potential financial client, a bank, for example, so that the bank is reassured and can take more risk and working together with the fintech organization.
Yeah. So, and do you actually see that works in practice? So this de-risking concept, do you see that it sometimes is a really requirement for a financial institution to actually start working with a smaller firm?
Yes, we see that more and more. Why? Because financial organizations such as banks and insurance companies alike as well, they see the benefit of working with a smaller technology provider such as fintech or insurtech. Why? Because the fintech organization, a scale-up or startup, will run faster for the client. They will have a higher satisfaction requirement, for example, and therefore that can contribute to a better service offering from the startup or scale-up to the bank. A second component why a bank might consider a startup or scale-up is also financial competitiveness, for example, right? In general, the fee can be quite more beneficial when working for from a smaller supplier than for a bigger organization. So when then you come with the de-risking part, and with the de-risking part, they say, well, we want to work with you, but we want to de-risk your solution. What can you provide us? And software escrow, can be a good solution in that regard.
Was I think interesting to also make a bridge to have some FinTech Week where you, together with NCC, together with BDO, hosted a session about DORA, the new Digital Operational Resilience Act that Europe is coming up with. Where do you see the link between your offering and those new requirements?
Good question. So as we, most of us know, on the 17th of January 2025, I believe, the Digital Operational Resilience Act will come into effect. So this means that all financial organizations who are commercially active in that sphere has to abide by it. And for the ones who don't know, the DORA basically says, you as a financial organization, you have to have contingency measures in place to be able to access your data, access your application. That is critical. So the bridge between the DORA and NCC Group basically is we provide the financial organizations such as a bank, for example, with the tools required to keep having access to their data, keep having access to the application from a critical third-party provider. So when a regulator, the Dutch regulator, for example, DNB, goes to ABN AMRO and say, ABN AMRO, we want to see what your plan is regarding your exit strategy if this cloud core banking platform goes, out of the air. Can you show us what your plan then is? And NCC's escrow services can be a part of that plan, whereby they say, dear regulator, this is the partnership with NCC Group. We will receive the source code. we will receive the login credentials to the cloud-hosted environment, so we can keep using and accessing our application should our critical software supply no longer be around.
So, but do you also see that that's do you have to adapt somehow to actually sort of fit better into that framework, or do you foresee that there's work also coming to your end to make sure you are directly making people compliant with that new regulation?
That's a good question. Yes, there is some work to be done there. And so, for example, 1.5 years ago, approximately, we have assigned a team, a compliance, regulatory compliance lead. One of my colleagues, Wayne Scott, who was also, I believe, present during the BDO event, whereby we are dedicated to look at the requirements that the financial organization has regarding DORA, for example. We work together, with their legal team, with their IT team, their project management team, to say, okay, you as a financial organization, what element of DORA and other regulations is relevant to you? And then we will go away to devise and design a solution that fits the financial client, that fits their strategy, but also, more importantly, that fits their risk framework, because every financial client has a different risk framework, a different risk appetite, and that's how we try to cater for that.
And so I think that's quite interesting to see how you. So de knippen we er wel uit.
Lang gedaan.
Iemand stil op de telefoon. But the interesting part, I think so I think it's great to have been able to host this session together with you, because I found a lot of people were really happy to learn much more about this new regulation, and as well as the solutions that you could provide for it. But to take that also to a next step, I think there's a strong heritage with NCC Group and the Dutch market, and based in Amsterdam, especially originally from the cybersecurity angle, I believe. How do you see your presence here, and how do you sort of see the collaboration with the ecosystem? Do you see NCC Group growing much more in Amsterdam and looking for partnerships?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we started on this journey to be, more involved in the fintech community around 2.5 years ago, I think, when we also joined Holland Fintech, to first of all understand what their objectives are, understand what the sentiment is within the community, and only then to see what added value we can bring to the table. So it has been quite a journey, and we think we have a good idea what it is, what the added value of NCC Group can be in this community, and hence also one of the reasons why we have set up a department dedicated on, for this particularly. So what we're trying to achieve also within the EU, we have expanded our EU team. So previously we focused only on mainland Europe, but now we expanded from mainland Europe to the EMEA section, because we see there is a bigger appetite and a bigger requirement from our new clients, but also from our existing clients, but also new clients, in terms of navigating through this, storm of digital operational resilience and business continuity and cloud and data, which can be very complex, big topics. And we try to make it as easy as possible, but at the same time providing the solution to help them be more compliant and having access to the data when required.
Yeah, no, exactly. Was there anything that you particularly liked about the Amsterdam Fintech Week? So anything that you discovered, or a topic that was perhaps more new to you, or that you just see this becoming important over the coming year?
Well, I think just generally speaking, every time that I attend, a Holland Fintech event, or an XFW event, or Money 2020, any financially related event here in Amsterdam, I get a increasing feeling of, a community whereby people are really, able and willing to share ideas, share, the ins and outs and the best practices, so that we can all work to, a more innovative community, a more safe community. Financial, sector is a very fast-paced moving environment, and it really helps if you have, your peers and also sometimes your competitors and partners to come together every once in a while during an XFW event or any other event and really help each other. So, that is what is more becoming apparent to me, and that is what I really enjoyed also this time around.
No, it's great to see as well that you have got, I think you've got quite a young team here as well,
Yes.
right? In general, so you guys also like to go out and
Definitely.
one of the ways to actually make good, proper use of the network is actually to have a beer together and
Exactly.
enjoy. So I hope that you also enjoyed plenty of that during this week.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything you're particularly looking out for over the coming year? So any developments that you're keen on? Do you expect that the company will grow further, or any new products to launch? What can we expect?
All of that and the above, Don. All of that. And so I cannot disclose anything yet at this point in time. The only thing that I can say is we have a massive opportunity, both from mainland Europe to EMEA, but also for the rest of the world, to really be a partner for our clients. So we really come, from a more transactional and process kind of approach previously, but we now see that our customers are more and more asking for a partnership kind of approach. And that is also something that we will be keeping working on. We will expand that. We're expanding our Amsterdam team here at the Zuidas. We will be expanding also other geographies and other avenues, because there's constant development within our financial organizations client base, and also in the IT. So there are many good things to come. Definitely.
Great. Well, thanks. I'm really looking forward to that. So keep us posted, and we'll make sure to give you a stage and get you connected to everyone who it relates to.
Thank you.
And thanks again for collaborating on Amsterdam Fintech Week. It was really lucky. We're really happy to have been doing that together with you. So looking on to the next one.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Breaking Banks Europe, a Provoker Media podcast in cooperation with Fintech Stage. Don't forget to tweet us out, shout out, or post to the team at Breaking Banks EU on Twitter. If there's something or someone you'd like to hear on our cast, let us know. See you next week on Breaking Banks Europe.